All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Boxing Day if you're British. I'm Travis Hightower, your host for the Slava Heroyam podcast. This is the 18th episode. I'm joined by a special guest today, and I've been wondering, I've been kind of saying it both ways in my head. Has it been deucing or dusting?
It's doozing, but
Dusing.
I've answered to much worse.
Okay. Well, excellent. Um, and so glad to meet you finally face to face. We've been chatting for a while, trying to figure out a time to get this going. And Ben is and his partner run the World Aid Runners, which is one of the only organizations I've heard of that gets aid and medical aid and humanitarian aid into frontline city like Kherson. Um, there are a few others that have been able to get back in lately, but they've been there working despite the human safari that we've been talking about on this channel uh, with other folks, and despite the danger. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. Ben, I normally do the format for this is a hero of the week, and I also remember anybody we've lost over the past week. But with Christmas coming along, I really didn't. This is a little more off the cuff than usual. Didn't plan everything out to that nature because I had been talking about the group 13 that has been attacking the shadow fleets there in the bay. But um, I guess first let's talk a little bit about World Aid Runners and how that got started.
Yeah, first of all, appreciate the opportunity to talk about these things and raise awareness about the plight of the people in Ukraine, especially here in Kherson, which has become a second home. Basically, I went to the border for a week. I thought after the full scale invasion, I happened to speak Russian. It's a long story how that is, but involves my college studies and that kind of thing, and working there and whatnot. So, uh, have the kind of life where I could create a little space like that. And I just went to the border to help refugees. I'd never done anything like that before. I was a lawyer. I guess maybe I still am. I don't know. But anyway, I thought maybe I could be a little more useful since, I could communicate with the people that need help. And, there was volunteers coming there to the border after the full scale invasion. I went to the border in Poland, in Ukraine. And basically, it's a long story from there. But from that point in time, I just, what can I do? How can I help? I'm an American. I'm here for a week. I speak Russian. And from that point in time, continuing through to the present, I've just, done things people asked me to do and ultimately went places I was asked to go, and a journey unfolded. And I'm a pretty unique kind of person. And I'm delighted to find out that all of those weird things about me actually have some constructive purpose. And one thing led to another. So it's been my life, since then. We ended up, I guess you would call us one of the frontline teams in the East. It's not the kind of thing you raise your hand for. In fact, if they would have told me, what the hell we were doing the first time we did it, I probably would have said you're nuts. But anyway, once this city was liberated here back in 2022, at the end of 2022, we got a call from the local organization here that needed some help with some things, didn't have a certain capacity that we had at that point. And so we hurried on down here to help them. By far, just, the worst humanitarian situation. This is the one big city that was, occupied by the Russians. So, there's not a lot of Ukrainians that know what that is. Most of them are right here. The city lived under Russian occupation for 9 horrific months. And then luckily, all of Ukraine's big cities are far away from the war, defined as, outside of artillery range, with the exception of Kherson right here. It's on the right bank of the Dnieper River. The Russians are right on the other side. They're just literally down the street across the river from where I'm talking to you right now. So just a whole different thing. And they needed our help. And so we've been serving here since. World Aid Runners didn't exist in those days. We were just one of a handful of, I guess, frontline humanitarians. I didn't know what that was. But at some point over time, I mean, I didn't know I was a frontline humanitarian for at least a month after I was a frontline. People just asked, somebody asked me to do something, we did it. But we've been here since. At some point, we're part of the local effort. And once it was clear that there was a long-term, there were holes to fill. And our part of that was to open up an office right in the middle of the city, right in the heart of the city. And fill that hole. So we've been here in this footprint since then. We have a full-time office, full-time staff, fleet of vehicles. Pretty good footprint here, supported by the whole community. And it was among other things. I mean, we're here to be of service, so people ask us for help, we do it. But the main thing is something that is called the free store at the front. And the main problem here is that there's no work, and of course, state assistance for the people is virtually zero at this point, and it's just way too dangerous here for foreign humanitarian organizations or the people. Really, the danger scares away the need. So we pump out food, medicine, hygiene, and clothing to the local population who really have few other ways to get it. It was supposed to be 200 people a week when Christina and I started 2.5 years ago. Now it's 2,000. So it's just and so we're part of the local effort and just playing a bigger part than we ever thought we would, and everybody is. But so that's kind of who we are, what we do. We're not fancy Nancy, no budget, no staff. I really primarily bankroll our operational expenses, and then we get contributions from people to augment my own to purchase the massive quantities of food, medicine, hygiene, and clothing.
Right.
That we need, but really just trying to do whatever we can in the community as well.
Right, and that's awesome. I'm glad that it's encouraging to hear how you've grown, though, from from being able to service a few hundred to a few thousand, even though that it kind of that has to take on staff, and you have to get there's a process, I'm sure, of getting approved by the Ukrainian government and and all of that. Was that difficult, or?
Well, we're registered in the United States. At some point, we did. We're registered 501c3 in the U.S., but no, it wasn't at all. I mean, the locals have been a lot of. We're designed by the people that need help for the people that need help, and staffed entirely by the people that need help. And I'm just kind of the adopted, local Benny Boo Boo, who accidentally became local. So there really wasn't much of a process there. And this is the front line. It's a city that's a front. It's a city. So there's not a, bureaucracy doesn't really, it's the front of the front,
Yeah, it's hard to get the things organized with actual leadership of the town and everything. I'm sure. There's still Heroyam still has a mayor and everything like that, or?
Yeah, so there's military, it's martial law, of course, in Ukraine. All the regions are governed by a commandant. We have ours, and it's a pretty difficult job, I think, administrating a big city. We pre-war 400,000, but we got 50,000 people left. If you can get out of here, you get out of here. This is hell on earth. 50,000 living on top of a war. So I think they do the best job they can, but the Russians down the street and across the river make it pretty difficult to attend to civic needs. It's a war. It's difficult for them.
Now, is the free store at the front, does it get protection from like the 34th Marine, or is I think that's who's there in Heroyam with you guys, but
we don't per se. I'm not sure of anybody that kind of gets any kind of protection. Frankly, in the era of drones, I mean, we are infested with drones, so I don't know that really you're trying to remain under the radar I don't know that there's I don't know that we would want
Oh,
you know
okay.
you know what I mean. You put some, we try, the whole premise is kind of to avoid crowds, but um, no, we're operate out of it's a secret location. I mean, to this day, there's no sign on the
Yeah.
door. We don't advertise anywhere. It's a converted law office right in the middle of the heart of the city, and you can't have crowds here. The skies are infested, so we have to rotate people in. And I mean, that's a lot of people, but I mean, it's a whole. Warfare has changed. The skies are mined. You know, so we try and I think everybody tries to maintain a low profile best we can.
Yeah. No, that was kind of my question is whether I was going to, is it mobile? Do you go to different spots all the time, move around? But it sounds like you have a plan. And yeah, so you were just inspired by the invasion when it happened to come over and see if you could help. You hadn't been to Ukraine before that.
Had never
Oh,
had never been to Ukraine. I spoke Russian, and Russian's the first language of half of Ukraine, and I was interested in the area, and the histories are intertwined there. They were both part of the USSR and that kind of thing, and I'd been following along, and I just thought, I just felt, well, maybe I could be, at the time it was a refugee crisis, and I mean, you know,
yeah,
there's not many people in the West that speak Russian or Ukrainian, and I thought, well, maybe it's an opportunity to be, uniquely of assistance because I can communicate with the people that need help. That might be a helpful thing. Once I got on the ground, literally, I said, my name's Ben. I'm an American. I'm here a week. By the way, I speak Russian. Do with me as you will. So I wouldn't have known what to do, but I don't know what I thought I'd be doing, but it was clear really quick that I could. Uh, there weren't many people like me, and I was playing a bigger role than I ever thought, and really became attached to the cause. And so I stayed. I mean, 1 week turned into 2 months, and I stayed. And met a lot of people there that would, from there went, was asked to go to Kyiv to help out there, hosted Ukrainian, refugee, worked on some projects there. Ultimately, once the refugee part was done, really the focus is, all right, well, now it's, got to help the people that can't get out. There by the war, I wasn't, I've never, I'm a lawyer, man, but at the border,
yep,
worked really close with some people, and they were kind of in charge of organizing the international effort in the east, a place called Kharkiv, Ukraine's second biggest city.
yep.
So they asked for, they needed bodies, and we had known each other from the border, and went there and arrived just in time for the counteroffensive to begin. And within hours of arriving, and I was introduced to some guys. Anyway, they turned out to be some of the, I guess, elite badasses of something called frontline humanitarianism. If they would have told me what that conversation ended with, "What are you doing tomorrow? I think you can help us out." And
Well,
for all
that sounds great.
for
Yeah,
all I knew,
I
we were moving furniture. I mean, by the time I knew we were, we're rolling into these newly liberated territories. So from that point, it was frontline stuff. And then when this city was liberated, we were asked to come down here.
well, I was inspired by it all from the beginning. Uh, people said that they gave the whole country 3 days, and they won that battle. And me being a former Air Force and former military, and just always been interested in this kind of this is something that I've expected for a long time, but didn't wasn't sure was gonna happen in my lifetime, but it did. And but they held their own, and I was very interested in how that happened, and I became very interested in the individual stories. There was the primary example I use is the Ghost of Kiev legend, which turns out to be not so much of an exaggerated legend as people might think. It's just that there's a lot of stories that are not going to be able to be told completely until this war is over, because to protect the identities of those involved and everything. And that is part of the challenge I face in this channel, who's wanting to promote those individual heroes, but we can't quite tell their stories yet without a mask. But you and your organization are doing something in, unmasked. Still got to have a secret location and everything. Yeah, so I wrote some novellas and figured out that it was going to take too long to get the books out, to get the truth of what's going on down there going, because books take a long time. And one of the best ways is to help promote documentaries. So I met some people that do documentaries, and really, it is part of a 3-part series on Hassan on Human Safari, that if you can get together with Zarina, hopefully you'll end up in one of those documentaries. So, because your story needs to be told too. Now there's some interesting things that I thought were helping, that we've talked about, in that there's a couple of organizations that you can give to that'll help, donate the big fishing nets that go around town, that kind of, and drone detectors. But from your perspective, those things haven't helped all that much, is what you might have told me.
Well, I try not to think, Travis. I rely on we're surrounded by, we don't discriminate against the non-civilians here, if you know what I mean. And, we're constantly on top of them. So whatever I know really derives from them. First of all, and I don't want to embarrass you, but this is just something I've learned to do. And I didn't realize you were a veteran of the U.S. military. And I just wanted to say thank you for my freedom.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Of myself and my children. I have a much, much deeper appreciation for I am witness every day the price paid for freedom. I didn't have to pay it. Men and women like you have and have preserved it. And just if I can take a second and thank you for my freedom, because we take that for granted back home. But thank you for your service to our country on behalf of a grateful American. And I don't mean to embarrass you, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that. I mean that. Thank you.
No, you don't embarrass me, but I was always 27,000 feet above. Well, there was danger, but I always admire the people on the ground even more, even though I was sent them help when they needed it. But
you know how it is. It takes a team.
And so that's my little modesty, but yeah,
it takes a team, man. You know what I mean? So,
but it was a lot.
I just wanted to think on the drone things. I mean, I can bottom line this. Look, if they want you dead, you're dead. I don't know how honest I'm allowed to be on here, but drone detectors. We had one of those in the office for about 2 months, maybe about 8 months ago when the power of the drone. These are FPV drones. I think it's important to note that, because you have these long range drones. That's a different thing. These are short range combat drones. You have a short battery life generally. Fly a short distance. This is the only population here they can reach, and that's just because of the unique proximity of the Russians. But the power of the drone is in the number. It's not the individual. So when the human safari thing started, you have flying bombs that you can't see or hear in the skies above you, hunting people and things. And before that battery life goes, they're going to shoot down. But there weren't that many. And in that era, I mean, there's, I think, 2 months that we had, a drone detector in the office there was, I don't make decisions here. People more important to me gave us that. But at some point, the density of the drones is just so much, they're unavoidable. That thing hasn't hooked in for a long time. I mean, there was 6,000.
It would be constant detection of drones. Yeah. Okay.
It would be like turning on a radar detector, in the middle of a police parking lot. Like, I mean, I don't need to know how many human hunting, flying bombs are above my head. There's always at least one. So, the density has increased over time. There were 6,800 of those drones, overwhelmingly in the front half of the city. I mean, it's that, the front part of the city that's adjacent to the river. The Russians are on the other side. And at this point, I mean, you can't move now. Like when I say you can't move, I mean, you can't move. There's some days. I mean, I go as far as, I mean, you know, you can't walk through, you know, the skies are mined, and the density of that minefield is so great. So the drone detection, I mean, you know, you don't really need one. You can just count on. I mean, hell, there was one in our garden 4 days ago. That's new. Now they have the ones that sit down right outside the free store. So they're everywhere, you know. And so I don't know anybody that uses those anymore. Then that's, you know, really, I don't know how to say this. With the range of opinions on that, you know, varies from like totally worthless and a waste of resources. Now I'm talking about the civilian drone nets now.
Yeah.
To marginally effective. But I mean, you know, the drones can go wherever. So, I mean,
well, you can destroy the nets with one and follow up with another, that kind of thing, just like a cope cage. But it just depends on, like you said, how bad they want you dead, depending on, or how many resources they want to use. I'm thinking in particular of the warrior farmer, Aletsky, and I'm trying to remember his last name, but he shot down something like 250 of them with a shotgun that he would carry around. And we're led to believe shotguns are somewhat effective, at least as a last resort. But they eventually did get him too. So
I can tell you what happens here, and I mean, you know, there's one of three ways that, you know, when you go outside here, you're in serious danger, and you know, every day there's going to be 10 civilian casualties. Who knows, you know, how many? Some of the districts down by the river you can't go in. I mean, there's bodies laying down there now. But if you're not 4 or 5 meters away from an open structure with a door, you know, I mean, if they want you dead, you're dead. But there's three ways that, you know, I find out that there's a drone way closer to me than I want. One way is that, you know, the local network, you know, the city's destroyed, and every day it's just, I mean, right now blowing stuff up outside. So the network, you know, if the signal cuts out right away, I know that there's a whole bunch of the drones interfere. So many that interfere with the signal. So that's one way. The other way is sometimes you can hear them. The dropper drones will come down to look. You don't see them. You don't see them ever. But you know, you can hear them that way. And at that point, and they're always hunting, right? So you're walking around and you're. But the most common way, frankly, is that, you know, I'll be walking down the street and all of a sudden the skies will open up and 50 caliber machine gun fire and holy hell will break out. And at that point, you know that, you know, from the people that are all around you here, that, you know, we can't show, and that, you know, the people and things that you would expect to be on the front line. And at that point in time, you know that there's a drone circling in and you may be it. But most of the time, that's how we're alerted to, you know, extreme proximity of a drone. But at that point in time, you need to get inside a sturdy structure, and you better be near one.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen that work a whole lot of times. Usually that is preceded by a big ass explosion not far away. But you know, I'm no expert on that stuff, but that's kind of what happens here.
Well, so with all of that going on, I'm interested in the spirit and the morale of the people, though. They still manage to have Christmas going on, some kind of celebrations indoors, that kind of thing, underground.
You know, people have tried to keep, you know, I mean, truthfully, this is, you know, hell on earth. The city is perpetually destroyed. So 24/7, it's just, you know, the Russians shell it, you know, 300 plus rounds, tank rounds, mortar rounds, artillery rounds, nonstop, FPV drones during the day. So over the years, it's depleted, and there's not much left, especially in the front part of the city. You can't really move, you know, especially vehicles. You know, those are special targets. So, I mean, we have to do that. But so people really just, you know, indoors. So there's an effort to, you know, make merry, if you will. But these people have been through absolute hell, and you know, the best effort made to have, we got ourselves a $3 Christmas tree from the one place over there that's not blown up yet. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
these people were tough as hell, but truthfully at this point, I mean, that's everybody's tired, hurt, injured, shell shocked, and under fire around the clock. So, but at the end of the day, toughest, bravest people I've ever met, man. But they're hurting. We're all hurting pretty good. I mean, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you guys, were they aware of the sort of the big campaign we had on earlier in December? There was a Save Hersan rally, December 13th and 14th. That took place in like over 50 cities all over the world. Did you get in any information on that?
I did after the fact.
Okay.
My buddy, I think our common buddy Charlie, who's a great dude
Mm-hmm.
and does good things to help the cause. He let me know about that. So we're kind of cut off from the world here, but I did kind of see that, and that's the kind of thing that'll leak its way here and really have an impact when they see it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's really awesome.
The I just the I'm not sure. Awareness is the first step to the solution, and I'm wondering tactically a little bit. Like, are they using fiber optic drones or just FPV? Uh,
I've seen a few fiber optic, but
hmm
truthfully, and
That
again, I
leaves the.
profess to be I'm a civilian. I don't profess to be but you don't really. I mean, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. The Russians are right down the street across. You don't have to make it real complicated, and most of them are not. They're just a Model T, and I mean, they're just overwhelmed in number. I mean, there's just so damn many.
Well, yeah, and I'm just thinking about jamming systems, but then if you put the amount of jamming systems it would take, um, you know, I I'm talking to people in terms of how do you beat the Russians at their own game, because I'm telling people that that the deals that are trying to be offered and everything are no good, and I think everyone, especially the people of Kherson, are aware of that terrible situation, and it'll take a minute for the American people to fix that over here, but hopefully we can get it fixed and start to. But people have asked me, well, what do we do? What good does besides the humanitarian aid? What can be done to stop them? And I have to be able to tell them some kind of tactical thing. But and I've seen the videos of Andriivka, and the whole city's destroyed, and that's the end result we want to avoid, with fiber optic cables crisscrossing all over the destroyed buildings, because
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
um, and I know there's no immediate solution to that right now. A ceasefire wouldn't be able to be trusted for Kherson in particular. A no-fly zone, which I pushed heavily for, even a no-fly corridor would help with the big drones and the cruise missiles, but Kherson would still be in trouble with what it faces with the skies being mined. I like that terminology that you used, is they have mined the sky.
And
Um,
and I and
so,
that's and truthfully, that's not mine. I heard that.
mhm,
I don't know where I heard that. A local used that, and that just stuck with me because that's exactly it. I mean, you're just walking
mhm,
through a minefield in the sky. When that minefield gets too dense, I mean, you can't walk through a minefield. You know.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, even without mine detectors and whatnot. So you just kind of were following other. Um, One of my questions for you was, when did you realize that Kherson was especially dangerous and needed the most help? And that was just from the sounds like just who you met, and they said, "Come on and follow us."
well,
Um,
so we ended up, kind of getting pulled into. I mean, the frontline stuff is different. As I learned, you probably know this, but the missions choose the men and women. The men and women don't choose the missions, and that's a whole different thing up front. The most of Ukraine's far away from the war, defined as outside of artillery range, and that kind of you don't everybody can kind of do that, but in the frontline areas, you really kind of have to work in teams. Those teams need to have certain things, and if you are somebody that has one of those things, in my experience, you're going to be kind of plucked, and that team's going to be kind of assembled like that. So when the counteroffensive was launched in 2022, and the Ukrainians were liberating, predominantly in the east, these chunks of territories, those were people that really needed humanitarian assistance right away. So we kind of got, pulled into, essentially the crew, and ultimately then, a team ourselves of running aid into those newly liberated territories, right behind the war. This territory down here, Ukraine, is the one, or Kherson's the one big city that was occupied. So it was kind of, in many ways, just a natural, it was the last place liberated, and we were kind of done with the East, and we got a call to come down here. So, but I got to tell you, it wasn't until I got here that I realized what this was, because you have to understand, you probably do, war is math. I didn't really understand that, I mean, so in the East, first of all, in Ukraine, 99% of the country is outside of artillery range. So, the only way the war can directly impact people's long range stuff, it's what you read about, there's people who report on it, but that's kind of real life, interrupted by the occasional explosion. Not good, but that ain't the war. The frontline areas, kind of artillery range, call it 30 kilometers or whatever. But those are big land, I didn't really, front line, of course, is a big area. Well, the effect of that is to put, the Russians, some distance away from whatever civilians remain in that area. And you're talking about small towns and villages with, a couple thousand people. So you're running in, dropping the stuff off, and, getting the hell out of there. But you're never getting that close. You're not getting in tank range. You're not getting in mortar range from the Russians. Well, we get called down here. And I mean, the first morning we're out there, and I mean, there is just, pardon my French, I don't know if there is just shit exploding all over. There's tank rounds flying in. There's more, none of that stuff can reach any other place in Ukraine. And so, here you have not a big front, but the front line's a puddle. I mean, the river's 500 meters wide, right there. So you have, a civilian population closer to the Russians than can be the case anywhere else. And it's not a small town or village, but a regional capital of 400,000 people. That is a problem.
Yeah.
You have the whole population living in range of every combat weapon in the enemy's arsenal. And so we're arriving here, and that's the first time I heard a tank round. I didn't know what in the damn hell.
They do not discriminate, as I understand.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Is there a sense that they try to go after hospitals first, or farmers, if they can find a farmer, that kind of thing? Or do they just whoever they can find outside?
My experience, and again, what do I know? It's just boots on the ground over the past. Of course,
you're there. That's why we're talking.
I know, I'm the only international that resides here. It's off limits to foreigners. I just accidentally became local, but to me, it seems like there's a priority of targets. Of course, if they can find something military, but it's the front, so things are camouflaged and hidden. Vehicles, big vehicles, are kind of second priority. Then smaller vehicles, then sort of more than individuals outside, and if there's more than one, maybe marketplaces, that kind of thing, and then individual civilians. But those drones, they have a battery life of about 60 minutes, and when they fly across the river, in the next 60, before that battery gets to zero, someone or something is being blown up. And
they don't like turn around, oh well, I didn't find anything, and bring it back. They just
there's exactly zero kamikazes in World War II that returned to their aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? Like, my impression is that in a lot of what I do, trying to slip into some of these places, south of us, we're about 1 kilometer to the Dnieper River. That area really from where we are down there, people are cut off. So when I'm slipping in there, I'm really trying to mimic a profile from the sky that is less attractive. Now you're not, but are they above just slaughtering an 85-year-old woman walking down the street
Yeah.
by herself? No, you see that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's less common. So that's what I'm trying to look like when I do that. But so I feel like there's a priority. The vehicles are certainly priority targets, but that's what it seems like. Boots on the ground. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
There's no
No,
profile.
you gave a good hierarchy there. They want to find. They do want to find the military targets if they can, but they want to find targets that they know they can hit, and then they want to take out as many people as possible, which is all terrible for the civilian population, and a constant war crime that is faced every day. Now, are there people from the east side of the Dnipro that are still trying to escape to freer territory, or is that kind of?
I don't have. I probably I don't have enough knowledge. There's you hear things whatnot. I don't, and I'm sure that there are. That is a very, very, very complicated thing. I'm not involved in that.
Right.
But for the most part, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn. But the way to do that probably isn't doing it here. There's ways to, in the instances where I've heard of that happening,
they don't try to escape through Kherson. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can go really. You pull back through Russia, go up into other countries where, you can get, you can kind of work your way around, really the Baltic countries.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, information is a problem, and that's one reason, and it affects Kherson somewhat, but it affects really all of Ukraine, is especially in those occupied zones, is the stealing of children from parents and that kind of thing.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
So
absolutely horrible.
You don't want any more of Ukraine to be occupied than normal, because then it already has been at the very least, because that's what they'd be facing. You're not giving up land, you're giving up people's knowledge and ability to do anything about stuff like that. So
Russians, you're right about that. Russian occupation is hell on earth, and nobody knows that more than the people in Kherson here. And you're right about that. You're right about that.
Let's take a look at the website you've got set up here. Add to stage.
Yeah, it's
here it is.
It's a
yep.
It's a B- website. It's we never no budget, no staff. We're just a little engine that could, and we're in the process of updating it. But never envisioned serving on this scale, and so we're.
Are you using Squarespace? I use Squarespace. I don't. And I've got a QR code for people to watch this. It's up in the top left there, and I've got a banner here that will scroll across. Now, if anyone does listen to this on Spotify and not doesn't watch it on YouTube or Substack or Facebook or wherever you get your podcast, but if you use something like Spotify and you're an audio only audience, the website is worldaidrunners.org that we're looking through. worldaidrunners.org.
That is correct. You might also have to try .net. Again, we're in one of the two will work.
Okay.
You're right. We're. My apologies. We're. It's a difficult thing to administrate from the front, but .org or .net.
You've got your symbol here. You have a video of several people that I showed on my last podcast. I won't show it again here. thanking you guys for your help. But that is showing that the free store at the front is what it's called, and I don't know if you put that on your overview page, but you've also got Heroes for Humanity program. What is that?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. So,
Whoops.
basically, it's a way to people pledge a certain amount every month. One of the things, the scale of this, Chris and I set up the free store to fill a hole in the system, and it was a targeted thing, but it has to, that system went away. So we have to serve citywide in the scale of it. So one of the things is just predictable contributions. We're grateful for everything we get, but the Heroes of Humanity program is just if somebody's willing to say, hey, I'll give you $50 a month and I can commit to that for 6 months or a year or whatever, it really helps Chris and I plan, because, we're buying 6,000 of this, 10,000 of that. And so that's what that is. People that are willing to, make that kind of commitment. It's otherwise we don't, so we know that the resources are going to be there, and we can make those big purchases.
Okay. And then you've got Sponsor of Humanity. Is that the sort of the same thing, but like a bigger? Is one of them? Oh, okay, here you go. These are the one-time amount, larger amounts.
Yeah, and these are just ways really intended to recognize people that have been attracted to the merits of the mission. And the Sponsor of Humanity, look, at the end of the day, we want to, if there are people in a position that, let's say they have a small business or something or whatever, if somebody has a little bit, has some resources, want to honor, let's say a family friend or somebody, or a loved one, kind of a memorial thing. We're happy to put people's name on and things and just, honor them, good humans, kind of a way to do that. So just it's really just a mechanism for people that want to contribute bigger amounts. We'd like to put their name on things, and if they want to honor people in their life that are good humans and represent the values that we're trying to represent, just an opportunity to do that. At the end of the day, anybody is interested in it can just give me a call. These are all just ways to try and raise funds that we need for the free store.
Okay, outstanding. Yep. So you've got to contact us. You got a couple of different ways to contact you. There's a Facebook and an Instagram. The Instagram really kind of shows what you guys are up to.
That's correct. The one that really has taken off is on TikTok, of all things.
Oh, okay.
World Aid Runners on TikTok. Travis, I'll be honest with you. I thought that was like something that you did videos with your kids. That's what I did with my girls. But anyway, it's a bit different now. And somebody suggested that, and that really has become a great platform. There's about 19,000 subscribers on that. Ukrainians, locals. So that's kind of the main. I'm on live there all the time. That's kind of our main channel. But that's maybe the best for people interested. World Aid Runners on TikTok. It's kind of our main kind of homepage that we use.
Okay. All righty. Yeah, I'm not on TikTok myself.
I wasn't either. I didn't know.
So share this tab instead. This is the example of the free store at the front going right here.
Yeah, that's actually an exceptional day. The Central Markets down the street got hit pretty hard from the shelling one day, and some people couldn't get that. So we actually went down there and took a load of stuff down there. Most people typically they come to us, but that's
okay.
Very good. What you're looking at right there is in the some in-kind supply that some of our partners in Ukraine sent us and whatnot. Christina there, I can't say enough. Christina is a survivor of the Russian occupation of her son. Not quite 25 years old, stayed behind. 90% of the people have had to flee, stayed behind, like some of these other folks, to help her city, works night and day. Now manages the free store top to bottom. She's the architect of it, and manages it. Risks her life every single day. She could be in a lot of places doing a lot of things, and it's one of the is really probably. I mean, this place, these people are my heroes, but Christina's uh, amazing. And she, we go, we're here to serve. They know, um, I'm the Robin to her Batwoman, if it makes sense. So,
Well, I didn't want the sound, but um, but yeah, and so people should check this out. It's Charlie Morris, friend of the channel, is the man who introduced me to you. Used to run some social media for another thing. Did you ever? Was he interested in beefing this up even more? I mean, this looks pretty good right now.
Charlie's a great dude.
Mm-hmm.
Great, as you well know. Doesn't surprise me
Mm-hmm.
that you're a good dude. Birds of a flutter.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think that's how I forget how Charlie and I got connected. But I think, you know, I think he reached out, saw what we were doing, and we had conversations about that. And then he had some things, and I had some things. But I'm sure Charlie had some really good ideas. I feel like we've been so. Um, that was a conversation that was had. I'm sure Charlie could do it. Hell, you could do a lot with it, Travis. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's our biggest challenge here is, man, it's intense, and the communications right now, we have power, so I'm hooked up to the Wi-Fi, but it's really difficult to, it's just not Western life. So usually we
Yeah.
go back to the States, okay, Christmas time in the summer, and try and fundraise, develop that kind of thing. And that's kind of a time to do that. We haven't been able to do that. Chris and I were injured by Russian aviation, and I can't fly home until I'm cleared to do that. So we've been
Mm.
stuck in this black hole for a while. So our admin isn't very good.
Right. No, that's understandable. And I think that was one of my other questions is how many times have you been back and forth? Originally, I don't know, just reading articles and stuff, it sounded like it you'd been home a few times and then back a few times. But
This is all kind of evolved. And when it started,
mhm,
it was about, I got to the board, just truthfully, Travis, I saw, look, we're all different. I'm goofy. I mean, how many Americans speak Russian or Ukrainian? You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
and I saw right away, I was doing things that, I mean, that were, I don't know what I thought I'd be doing, but I saw I could really make a difference in a way that was, not everybody could make. So I felt called to do that, and it just grew from there. So at first it was about 50-50, but over time, once we got here to Heroyam, which was 3 years ago, we, go home in the summer. And my kids are a little bit older, so that's kind of our time. And then at Christmas. And so the rhythm until last March when we were injured was, we're home in the summer and at Christmas. So, and that would be a good way to kind of, rotate off the front. We
mhm.
weren't able to go home this summer and this Christmas just because we,
Got injured.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's a story that you want to tell or for another time, but that's so that just speaks to the danger that's there. I'm glad you guys seem to be in good health now at least, but um,
Travis,
uh,
the worst, the worst, the most vicious, I don't know if you know anything about these glide bombs, the Cobbs.
mm-hmm,
These are from Russian aviation. So, of course,
mm-hmm,
both sides have air defenses. And so, nobody's flying everybody over our side. But the Russians have mastered, they've got these Cobbs, these glide bombs. They're 1,000 kilogram, 1,500 kilogram. And so the airplanes come and approach the border, which is, of course, us, and they'll drop those bombs and then turn around before they're in range of the Ukrainian air defenses. And then those glide
mm-hmm,
bombs, and they just pound the frontline positions. And, we don't, I guess about, those are just fearsome. The concussive force. I mean, you can take out a
mm-hmm,
block, you know what I mean? So,
mm-hmm,
um, unfortunately, back in March, they happened to drop one right in the middle of the city, and Chris and I were unfortunately less than 100 meters from that at the cafe. And put it this way, man, that was I ordered an ordinary omelet, and
Mm-hmm.
it was anything but ordinary, buddy. That thing just got ripped apart.
Oh, wow.
Those things are
Okay,
fearsome,
well,
fearsome
uh,
weapons.
yeah, and we'll have you back to keep telling us, giving us updates on the front line. Maybe we can get together with Charlie for conversation or something like that. Last two talks ago, we got together with Charlie and Ben, another Ben Cook, who is researching Ukraine on Substack. He's one of the largest accounts that gives people Ukraine news daily. So I recommend him. Where else we can find you? That through that website on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, are you just called World Aid Runners on TikTok as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, it's late for you. I'll let you wind down for the night. Thank you for talking to me, and we'll look forward to having you back. I always end this show by saying, "Glory to those who support and defend the Constitution of the United States," and Slava Ukraini.
Heroyam, Slava. Thanks you
Heroyam
on
Slava.
behalf of the people, Travis. On behalf of the people of Kherson, thank you for what you do for them. On behalf of myself and my family, thank you for my freedom. Thank you for your service.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We'll keep plugging along, fighting the good fight.
Amen, brother.
I mean, talk to you later.
God bless.